Welcome guys to my channel of C# for beginners. Today we're gonna talk about loops, do while loop, for loop. But before them, let's see the results or the solution for the challenge that I gave for you. Of course, your solution may differ, but I want to share my solution also. And I solved this mini challenge with switch instead of if else. So let me explain to you how this works. So we are outputting enter a number from 1 to 12, and we are converting to int console.readline to months. So we have an integer, and then we are creating new variable called season, and we are putting switch months variable into switch, and then as you can see, we are choosing uh, or 12 or 1 or 2. So any of them, for example, if it's 1 or 2 or 12, it can be winter, or it's 3 or 4 or 5, it can be spring. So like that. And if does not fit any of them, it's gonna result invalid month number. So let's check this code. So it's asking enter a number from 1 to 11. So we try 13, so which does not exist, and it's saying invalid month number. So let's try again. Enter a number, maybe 2, and it's showing winter. And let's run again, and for 4, it's spring. As you can see, it's working. So if you have also solved it, maybe you can comment in the previous video or this video. If you have any questions or difficulties, you can ask on the comments section, or I'm gonna put my email in the description of video. You can email to me. So let's dive into today's topic. Today's topic is loops. So loop, what do you think loop means? As you know, the definition of loop, something that repeats. Yes. So in the programming language example, we can talk about the three kinds of loops. For example, in C# especially, there's a while loop, there's a for loop, and do while loop. So first, we are gonna talk about while loop. So in the while loop, I'm gonna show you one example. For example, you wanna output all of the numbers until 5 from 0. Yes, so you can do something like that. Console dot write line 0, and then like that. Yes, and then you can make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it works. It's good. It works. There's no error, nothing wrong. It works. But do you think logically is it a good idea to write everything console.write line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? In that kind of situations, we can use loops. So you can initialize variable, for example, num equals 1. Yes, and we're gonna write while keyword for loop, and then inside round brackets we should put some condition. For example, num equals less or equal 5. Yes, less or equal 5. What we're gonna do, console.writeLine num, and there's a problem. I'll show you what's the problem. So in that code, while works until this condition is satisfied. For example, num is 1. Yes, so num is 1, and num is greater less or equal than 5. So it works, and it goes into and console.writeLine num. And then next time, num is always 1, and it's less than or equal 5. Yes, so it always satisfies this condition. So that means there will be infinite loop condition. Understand me? So because we are not updating our number, so it's always 1, and it's always less or equal than 5. So if you run this code, it's gonna crash. As you can see, it's not stopping. It's outputting 1 without any hesitation. So in that situation, what we need is num plus plus, namely incrementation. So we need to increment, and if we run this code again after incrementation, if you run this, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So in that situation, we are declaring 1 and it's less or equal than 5, and we are printing it and we are incrementing it. So in that situation, the 1 or number would become 2, and it checks again, it's less than or equal 5, and then prints again. It's gonna become 3, 4, and 5, and whenever it becomes 6, it's gonna crash and our loop ends. So that's why you shouldn't forget the incrementation in loop. So that's about while loop. For example, what we can do with while loops. For example, we can find summation of all numbers until 10. So we can declare sum equals 0. Yes, and while for example, int I equals 0, I equals I less than 10, we should sum plus equal I. Let's do something. I equals 1. As you can see, I did also again infinite loop, so it's adding some again and again, but not increment. We are not incrementing I, so we should do I plus plus, and then stop our program and then run again. And as you can see, it's 55 because it's adding 1 to some, and then the next time it's becoming 2, and 1 plus 2 becomes 3, and then 3 plus 3 becomes 6, and then 6 plus 4 10, and so on. So we can use this kind of in this kind of situations loops to make our lives easier. And that's for all about the while loop. And the next loop is I'm going to talk about do while loop. As you can recognize from name, it's first do and then while loop. So in that situation, we can initialize variable called number equals not equal, just number, and then do keyword, and then curly brackets, and while here. So that means we are gonna do some action and then check the condition of while. So first we're gonna do action, some kind of action. So for example here, console dot write line prints at least once. But for example, on while situation, it may not run at least once. Also, it may not run anytime. So the difference is do while loop runs at least once. So we can say number equals 10. Yes, and then we can check number less than 5. So we are saying that console.writeLine output the print at least one statement, and then initialize the variable number 10, and then we're gonna check our variable whether it's less than 5. So let's run our program. So print at least once, as you can see, because 10 is not less than 5. So but as you can see, do is coming first, and we are doing whatever we want inside do, and then checking the conditions. So that's how works do while. So actually there is no much more difference between the while and do while. The only difference is the do while can print at least once, minimum ones, but the printing count in while loop, just while loop, at minimum is 0. For example, I can show you like here. Example number is 10, and while number plus 5, then 5. Console.writeLine, right? Prints As you can see, it does not print because it does not satisfy the condition. But in do while, you can print at least once, even it does not satisfy the condition. And then the last loop, our loop is for loop. For loop has three parts inside. First, you need to write the for keyword, and then I. You can use any variable, but I is kind of used for iteration. So I is most often used for loops for iteration variable, and then we should check condition and then increment. So the third parts are here. The first one is initialization. We're gonna initialize I. So instead of initialization, you can do something like here, for example, 0, and then use here and I, or something like that. I. You can do something like here, something like that also. You can initialize and then just give value here, and then I less than 10. That's condition. That means this loop works until I is less than 10. And in the last situation, it's incrementation. We are using this condition. We are adding only one in each iteration, but you can use something like that also. We can increment by 3 in each loop. So let's see the output. So we can write something like that. Right line. Yes, and I. Let's see the output. 0, 3, 6, and 9. As you can see, it's 0, 3, 6, 9. Yes. So as you can see, we are initializing, it's 0, and then we are running it, and it would be 0. And the next situation, it's becoming 3. Yes, we are printing 3, and then in the next iteration, it adds 3 again, and it becomes 6. So as you can see, it's 6, and then the next iteration, it becomes 9, and in the last iteration, it's gonna update I as 12, and then we're gonna check the condition. Is 12 less than 10? No. So we're gonna terminate our loop and then just break it. So our loop is ends. And we can use other conditions also. For example, arrays. I'm gonna talk about arrays later, but array is kind of how can I say that? A list of some same objects or same d types. Let's see. It's we have strings like apple, mm, banana, and for example orange. Yes, orange. So I have this kind of fruits, and it's array of string, and we need to print them. So in that situation, we can use for each. For each means it's gonna print not just by indexing, but it can take one element of array or any list. We're gonna talk about later much more explicitly, but I want to show you how it works. For example, we can say var or string, just string, for example, string fruit. Yes, fruit in in fruits. So we are saying that in that for each we are creating new variable fruit in each iteration, and it's inside fruits. That means in each iteration it gets new variable. For example, in the first iteration it would be apple, in the next one banana, and the last one orange. So what if we print the console of right line fruit here, and as you can see here, it's apple, banana, and orange. So that's why we use for each in some kind of situation, because if we don't like these kind of things, we need to use some kind of something like that. For example, we need to initialize I equals 0, and then I less than, for example, fruits dot length, and then I plus plus. So we are saying that we are initializing I as 0, and then we are saying I should be less than the length of this list or array, this array. So that means the length of our array is 3. So I should be less than 3, and then and then we are incrementing our I, and then we should print fruits i's. That means first zeros and first and second element. So let's see the output. It's the same apple, banana, orange, but as you realized, for each in that situation is much more clean and easy to understand and write. Yes. So in that situation, feel free to use for each in that kind of situations. And that's for all about the for each, while, do while, and for loops. And let's talk about some conditions inside the loops. For example, there's a break statement. For example, say you need to print the numbers from 1 to 10, but you want to break the code whenever some conditions is not satisfied. For example, say something like that. Let me copy the code, and here, look at here. We're initializing I equals 1, and I is less or equal 10, and I plus plus. We are incrementing it, and if we run this code, we run this code. If you run this code, it's outputting from 1 to 10. Yes, it's working perfectly as we wanted. But somebody wanted whenever it gets the I is equal to 5, we don't need any more from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We don't need. We need only from 1 to 5. So you can change to 5, but we have another condition, for example, with break. We are saying that if I equals to 5, we should break. Break means breaks the for, namely the loop. Let's try this one. So as you can see, whenever I equals to 5, it's breaking. So you can ask why we are not seeing the output 5. Yeah, it's breaking, but where is the 5? Because as you can see here, we are checking the first condition first, not outputting it. We are checking if it's I is 5, we are breaking it. So we don't manage to print this code because it's breaking. So it's not printing because it's breaking. So that's why we see only 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in that situations, you can use break. And next statement is continue. So you don't like the number 5s, yeah? So you want to print the numbers from 1 to 10, but explicitly you don't want the number 5 to be printed. So in that situation, you can use continue. And if you run this code, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. So as you can see, it's just skipping. The difference between continue and break, continue just skips one situation and then continues working, but break just breaks the loop entirely. That's the main difference. And you can use lots of if-else statements with break and continue inside the loops. And I think the main things about loops I've covered so far is enough. And for example, let's write some simple code. For example, printing the multiplies of 2 until 10. Yes, for I equals 1, I less than or equal 10, I plus plus. If I modulus by 2 equals 0, then we just need to continue. Console dot write line I. Yes, let's see the result. As you can see, it's 1, 2, oh, continue. Multiplies it's 3. Oh, let's do here. Let's do because we need to skip the ones that are not divisible by 2. Yes, let's run this. And as you can see here, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So that are the multiplies of 2, and we are printing them using the if and continue statements. And also there's a situation where we're gonna use multiple loops, namely the nest loops. So for example, you want to print the multiplication table, yes? Maybe from not until 9, maybe until 3, yes? Int I equals 1 I greater 3 I plus plus, yes? Or uh, int j, we can call new variable j, k, or something like that, whatever you want. J also less than equal 3 and j plus plus. We're gonna console on dot right line, and then yes, and I equal not times I times 2 I times j equals I times j. Yes, let's see the output. As you can see, 1 times 1 is equal 1, 1 times 2 is equals 2, 1 times 3 is equals 3, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So what's going on here? Let me explain the next loop, how it works. So as you can see, we have the first loop, the big loop, yes? And it's initializing the I is 1 and giving the condition I should be less or equals 3, and we should increment I in each iteration by 1, yes. And then the situation is I is 1, and then we are coming in that situation, and the new loop, and we are giving j equals 1, and giving condition j should be less or equal to 3, and we are incrementing j by 1. And in that situation, our I is 1, and in the situation whenever our I is 1, our inside the small loop works 3 times, because the j would become 1, 2, and 3. That means it's gonna work 3 times whenever our big loop works only once. That means whenever our big loop works 3 times, that means our small loop should work 9 times. So it's something like math. Whenever our big loop works 1 time, our small loop works 3 times. That means 3. So, but our big loop works 3 times. So let's check it's just 1. Yes, just 1. And as you can see, it's just only working 3 times, because the big loop only working once. So that means 1 times 3 is equal to 3. But what if it works 4 times? Yes, 4 times 3. That means it should work 12 times. So the logic is here. Our inside loop is kind of dependent how much it should work on the bigger loop, and it's always works 3 times, but it how can I say, it's defined by the outer loop how many times it should be called. I mean, how many times the small loop should work, we're gonna define by the outer loop. So yes, we know the inside loop or the small loop works 3 times whenever we call it, but the how many times we call it is defined by the outer loop. So you can do something like that using the nest loops or whatever you want, and there are lots of problems. If you search internet about nest loops, you can solve some kind of problems, and I'm gonna give some mini challenge as the end of the video. Write a program that prints all numbers from 1 to 100 but skips multiples of 3. You can use continue and stops the code entirely once the code reaches, or just I or some incrementation variable reaches to 50 using break, of course. And that's all for our video, and take care. See you later.